For 1.4 million people, we are some of the most creative, awesome people on the face of the planet. I have a passion for female entrepreneurship. I wanted to give back to the people in my country, especially female entrepreneurs. The ability to create something out of nothing is a skill that all women have. I am a business strategist. There are way more opportunities for women than ever before, and I wanted to bring my experience and my knowledge to the table. Once we've been able to identify the problems or the challenges that you think you have as compared to the challenges or the problems that you actually have, we offer customized solutions. I have a team of people who come on board to create synergy. I am not a Trinidadian brand. I'm a global brand that is run by a Trinidadian woman. So everywhere I turn up as a Trinidadian woman first.
Hi, good evening. Aisha and I coming up one time. We're not wasting any time. So tonight we're going to be talking about finances. By the way, Aisha will introduce herself. You already know me. I'm not going to get into that. Today is Black Friday, but today is also Global Entrepreneur Week. It's the end of the week, and it is also Black Entrepreneur Day. A lot of people don't realize that. The other thing is that on the 19th, it was International Women's Entrepreneur Day. So many entrepreneur days happening at the same time. But Aisha and I almost didn't come up because we're busy talking, gossiping. So one of the major problems that we have found, and Aisha and I have had this conversation for quite a while, that one of the major issues is money, access to financing, especially for women, because it's no secret. I'm not gatekeeping. Less than 2% of venture capital money goes to women. And Clarine Mitchell was also telling me that it's a lower number for Black female entrepreneurs. So we have been having this conversation for the longest while, and it's a live event. It will remain afterwards. For those of you who will see it afterwards, I will really appreciate if you reach out to us and drop replay in the comments, because we actually want you to be part of this experience. It's just by coincidence that it happened tonight. So let me drop this out and let me bring up Aisha. Aisha, tell them a little bit about yourself. Good night and welcome.
Hi, good night, Rhonda. Good night, everyone. I'm Aisha. I have been in financial services for over 13 years. The majority of that time was actually in SME lending, which is where my passion for entrepreneurship and in particular female entrepreneurship came about. More recently, I was into the credit union sector, and got a little bit more familiar with retail lending, or as we say, personal lending. And out of that, I developed an interest in personal finance, simply because I saw a lot of people, getting caught in that whole debt cycle. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do some people get it and others don't? Why and why not? And that led me into where I'm at today, which is into personal finance and having this very important conversation with Rhonda. So that's enough about me. Rhonda.
All right, so let's get started. Aisha, before we even go to the slides, and Aisha, Michael Grunwald, who is my really good friend, he is saying good night to both of us. Hi. So here is the thing. We have talked about this before we even go to the slides. What do you believe is the major fear? Should I use the word fear or should I use the word challenge? What do you believe is the major challenge for female founders and women-owned businesses around funding? Before we even go to the slides.
In terms of funding, I think we probably start off with a a kind of a limiting mindset in that, it's probably going to be hard. I don't know if I'm going to get through, so why bother? So when we do those things, we end up playing very small because very often when we don't have access to the finance, we are not growing as we should, as we ought to, simply because we don't have the funds that we need to inject into our businesses. And this limiting belief comes a lot from, how we were brought up around money, things we believed as or heard as children, and our own experiences as we grew into adulthood. We have developed these stories that continue to play along in our own minds. And really, what it comes down to is just a lack of confidence, and it's also a lack of knowledge and understanding of personal finance. So I think once you can move past those barriers and realize that here's what, we don't have to be experts. We can, take a little step every day, learn a little bit every day. It will all become clearer and much easier to navigate.
All right. So a lot of people getting involved in the conversation. So I'm going to drop some of your comments into the chat while we're doing this tonight. Because what we want tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we want this to be an open-ended conversation. The reason why I'm saying that is because here is the thing. Learning about money is like any other skill. It can be learned. And Aisha and I have spoken about this, and we've come to the conclusion that it's tied up in shame, as Aisha is talking about how we were reared, especially as women, how we were grown. There was always an expectation that we would marry some man to take care of us. So don't worry a little head about that. And then that reality doesn't pan out. And even if it does, we as women, this is part of the empowerment journey for us as we navigate life. So, like any other skill, it can be learned. And do you agree with that, Aisha? Because what I didn't know about money was I berated myself for the things that I did not know. I felt as if it was Greek, it was Aramaic. And how come I couldn't navigate the numbers game? And as I tell people, I didn't do an MBA, I did an MSc. And it is in doing an MSc, which is largely quantitative analysis, I started to understand the language of money, the language of numbers. And numbers is like any other language. Don't try to translate it into English. Meet it where it is. It's like you're trying to learn Spanish, but you're trying to translate it into English at the same time. It's the same story of numbers. And I believe that us not knowing is the main source of the heartache, because nobody teaches us anything. So we really have to take decisive action in order to not die poor. Because insurance agents like to tell you, are you prepared for retirement? But as I told you, right now there are women who not even prepared for next year. So we're not even talking about retirement. So do you agree with that, Aisha? And what is the number one issue that you think as women we need to address almost immediately?
Well, I certainly think that personal finance, money management can be learned. It isn't a skill that I think anyone is born with. Some folks will have access to mentors, to parents, and so on, who have that skill set and are able to pass it on to them. Others, like myself included, had to learn by trial and error. But the fact is, once you get, those nuggets and you realize, well, here's what, I think I can do better. It's up to us to make that change. Just yesterday, I was listening in on a conversation, and one of the quotes that really resonated with me is that when we don't change something, we're choosing whatever it is we're doing. So we have to take that initiative and we have to make sure that we do it not only for our own sakes. If we have families, we have to think about who's coming after us, right? So it's all about just getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Because it might be a little scary. We probably don't want to open the bank books
Pandora's.
and go on to our statements and see, it might not be a nice sight, but the fact is we know where we are. And we also have to have a picture now of where we want to be. So if we know where we are, we know where we want to be, what are the steps that we need to take now that's going to, take us to that next level? And it's really all about getting comfortable with knowing where we are, being unafraid by whatever it is, and just going full throttle.
And also accepting, and it will come up in the slides tonight, ladies and gentlemen, accepting the fact that we just didn't know. So giving ourselves some grace. We just didn't know. So on that point, with that in mind, let's start with the slides and we will go into the conversations and some of the myths and some of the mindsets. Make sense? All right, so let's do it. So let me go to the first slide and I'm going to add it in and let us talk about it. The profitability myth. Tell me about this, Aisha.
Okay. So as we see on the slide, more offerings doesn't mean more money. It means more chaos. So what it comes down to, if it is you are running an established business, let's say, and you have multiple products or multiple service offerings, it's all well and good to think that here's what, I am covering all my bases and each and every offering is going to be bringing in some money, but we have to kind of go behind the numbers now. And we need to ask ourselves certain questions. Typically, okay, how are these products selling? Is each of them contributing to your overall revenue equally, or is one doing better than the other? We have to figure out, okay, what are profit margins on these products? Because some may be loss leaders, some may be selling at, at a very low margin. And there are others that typically we would be getting higher margins because the cost of production is something that we're able to manage better than in other instances. So when you're looking at a product suite, there are going to be instances where there are products that are not having the impact on our top line or the impact on our bottom line when we really start to go into the numbers. And essentially,
all right, so let me drop this in right here,
right.
and let us use this because I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
I had an experience, as I always say, our clients teach us more about where they are as compared to where we are. Just this week, I told somebody that we have to move from what we know and focus on what they know. YBTT had a funding webinar this week, and it was ram cram like a carnival fete. And what I like to do when I go up on these webinars as a strategist, I like to read inside what the comments are saying. Because inside of those comments is where the real stories are. And I often wonder if people who run these webinars, if they don't read inside of the comments, because that will give them so much guidance in terms of whether there is a correlation between what they are offering and what the people want. So it goes right back to what you were saying. So let's talk about the key points.
Right. So essentially what we're going to be focusing on when we're running a business with multiple products is we need to kind of rationalize or streamline the product range, because we really only want to be putting our resources, our efforts into products that are really bringing in a return for us. Other than that, it's not going to make sense, right? So you're going to be looking at which products are in demand, which products then I'm able to price and get a premium return for, and that are going to benefit me in the long run. And once we do that, we're going to be able to make decisions regarding our product range and determine how we're going to be moving forward. Because we have something in place, it might be our first, it might be a legacy product, something you started off with. It doesn't mean to say that we have to keep it, because for whatever reason, it may not be working. It may not be helping us at all. In fact, it may be costing us in the long run. So we have to be able to dig deep, look at the numbers, and figure out how we're going to move on, right? And similarly, if you're a startup, it may make better sense to focus on one core offer in the beginning, because you know what it is. When we start, we get caught up with shiny objects. We want to do everything. We want to try our hand in everything, because we feel if we don't do that, then things are going to pass us by. You know what they call fear of missing out. Something is going to pass us by. So having one core offer that you're focused on, it means then that you're not going to be distracted. You're going to be putting all your efforts toward one product. And it also means that once you're doing that, then you're able to, muster all your effort and be able to charge a premium price based on what you're doing, so that you will see the returns that you want, because you're putting everything you have into it. And literally, it makes sense to get good at one thing before we try to do something else, right?
Because here is the thing that happened with me, and it happens with a lot of entrepreneurs. When you just start off, you are so convinced that you want to solve a problem that prospective or ideal customer that you're targeting, that you will come up with a myriad of products. And then after a while, as you said, you have to analyze the offer's financial impact. Sometimes, and I heard that just this week, sometimes the product that you are best at is not the selling product. It's not the product that is selling the best, because it is not answering a customer need. So therefore, you have to go back to the drawing board, and the numbers will tell you what is being demanded by the customer. So when you look at it from the perspective of most small business owners, most female founders who don't have access to funding, most of them are bootstrapping. It means that the factors of production, the cost of production, is being borne by them. So it makes very little sense for you to chase that shiny object, convinced that they will realize the value of it, but in the meantime you're going broke. So when you can focus on one product, then you're able to create one funnel, then you're able to create one marketing strategy, then you're able to measure the impact of that one product. And the thing that every small business owner struggles with, especially females, then you are able to offer a premium price for that product. You see, when you have too many products in the basket, then you become very hesitant in terms of your crafting an actual offer, because you're double and triple thinking. Yeah,
No focus.
Yeah, you're double and triple thinking it. And because we are bootstrapping, then it becomes second guessing. You keep asking yourself, I wonder if this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And the other thing about it is that it is very easy when you are not certain of your offer. It's very easy for that offer to be put under pressure. People will undermine you with your product. People will try to hard sell you on your price. And many times, I see it all the time where women are afraid to call their price because they are not sure of the value that they're bringing to the table. And that usually happens when you have too many eggs in the basket. So the key points here are, for startups, focus on one core offer. And remember, I told you I sat in on Chloe's webinar where she said, focus on one core offer and also focus on one social media platform. That is the one that nobody is telling you. That is another way that you're spreading yourself too thin. Remember, I told you that at this point in time, I don't really care much about my Instagram account because Instagram has initiated a pay-to-play strategy, and I'm not falling for the okey doke. I have to go where there are people who want what I have to offer. And those people are not on Instagram. This week, I put up a post on LinkedIn where I said that there are 4 questions that you have to ask yourself at every stage of the journey, and I stand by that. So, analyze each offer's financial impact. What is the break even? What are the factors of the cost of production? What is the profit margin when you factor in all those things? Because remember, you have to pay yourself, And then the tactical advice is to perfect one thing before expanding. So it's the same thing. Get good at one thing. When you get good at, because people like to think that if you set a premium price, that there are people who will not buy the product. That is not true. It always have somebody for your product. Sometimes people don't realize that, and this is another gatekeeping tactic that I am seeing, and I'm calling them out on it. People do not realize that you could have 5 clients and make and clear $10,000-$15,000 a month. You don't need 50 clients. It's hard to convince 50 people. In order to get 50 people to buy a product, you have to try to convince 500 people. That's plenty of work. So let us move to the next point, and the stage is yours. The learning curve.
Okay. So you have to embrace where you are, right? You have to embrace the learning curve. We don't know what we don't know.
We don't know. Exactly.
We have to start there, right? And we can't get caught up in thinking, here's what, I need to know everything about money management. I need to know everything about finances, right? You just have to be comfortable with where you are and embrace the fact that you need to ask more questions. You probably need to talk to some experts to figure out how you're going to move forward. There is no shame in not knowing everything, right?
And saying that I do not know.
Correct.
They say Caribbean people don't like to say that they don't know. The Caribbean people don't like to say that they don't know. I would submit that this is a global issue, not just a Caribbean issue. And with women, we feel that we're supposed to know, and we are not testing that assumption. Who say that you're supposed to know? So the learning curve. Go ahead.
What I want to do is that we, as entrepreneurs, we are required to learn, multiple skills across the board, whether it's, marketing, whether it's operations, learning to manage a team. I mean, it's endless, right? However, you don't have to be an expert. When it comes to money management, at least get the basics down, all right? So that when you're having a conversation with your banker, when you're having a conversation with your accountant, you would at least understand some of the language. You will have an understanding of what happens when, you sell a product. What happens when you purchase, where the money goes, how the cash flow is operating. So it helps to at least know the basics and you outsource the rest. You don't have to be the expert. You go to a
You don't have
financial
to be.
advisor, you go to an accountant, but if you know the basics, you can have conversations. And we want to at least have those important conversations.
And this is what we really want, especially tonight. We want women to start to admit to themselves, look, I have found myself in some in a sticky financial place in my business, in my life, in terms of managing. We are going into a high consumer based season, Christmas and Thanksgiving, high ticket. Women are buying things that they want and they don't need. These are conversations that we have to have. And in order for us to start to even have those conversations, there's a deep level of introspection. I'll give you a very good example. When I was doing my master's, one of the modules was accounting for business purposes. Aisha, I failed the thing 3 times. 3 times. When I had to sit in that class, I felt like the dumbest person on the planet. I could not understand the language at all. I couldn't understand it. And you ever in a classroom and you're trembling because you know that every piece of information is just passing over your head?
Yeah.
I failed that thing 3 times. 3 times. But you know what? As I was telling another person who is at UE right now, the problem is you have to submit yourself to the process. So when I realized that I needed help, I remember reaching out to a friend of mine who was a department head at a college. And I said to that person, listen, girl, I need an accounting tutor. And she put me on to somebody who was a senior accountant in a government-run institution. And I used to go, you know where Santa Margarita is, right? In Trinidad, up in the mountains.
Yeah.
And I used to drive up to that woman's house every Saturday evening for 2 hours. And she taught me, and she started every session with prayer. And she broke it down so easy for me that when I did pass the course on the fourth attempt, because that was keeping back my degree from completing. I had finished everything else. I understood at that point in time, Aisha, is that if I had admitted to myself the first time that I failed the course, that I was not good at this and that I needed help, I would not have gone through that pain. And that's a very important lesson that a lot of women, a lot of entrepreneurs need to learn. So let us go to the next slide and let us look at the key points.
Right. Yeah, so just to reiterate what we said before is that you don't have to know everything, okay? It's okay to be not perfect, all right? We have to get comfortable being comfortable with where we
Or
are.
being done.
It's okay.
Or get
It's
comfortable.
okay.
Yeah, this is something that you're not good at and you will dance.
Yeah, right? And so, having said that, once you get a basic understanding of the terminology, how things work, making sure you track your money in your bank account and, the basics, outsource everything else. They have people who can do those things for you, all right? And just keep learning. Don't give up. And you'd be surprised. Once you get the hang of it, you're going to feel empowered. You're going to feel more confident. And you will begin to wonder, why was I so resistant in the first place? All right. And once you're able to get to that point, you're going to make better decisions moving forward. Simple as that.
You
right?
have to, you literally have to, and this is why I always talk about getting out of your own way, because you have to admit to yourself that you are not good at this. So that's the first thing. That's taking yourself down a few pegs. But I liked what you talked about, the empowerment, because when you could walk into a loan conversation with a banker, an investor, a venture capitalist, an angel investor, and you can speak the language of your business, because this is what you're telling them. You're telling them the story of your business the using the language of numbers. You're not going to some far-flung or some abstract idea. You are telling them that you need to do this in your business, whether it is to acquire major equipment, whether it is for export purposes, whether you have a good idea and it is at the level of just the ideation stage, and you have not you want money to create a prototype, and you also want money in order to test it to a target market. That's what you're telling them. So you are telling them these needs that you have, because you can no longer bootstrap. You need to scale this company, and you are giving them the story of your company in the language of numbers.
Yeah.
And once you
I
could do
like,
that, listen, all of a sudden everybody is rock back, and all of a sudden people start to pay attention to you. So that's where the empowerment part comes in.
I like that the fact that you refer to it as the story of your business, because it really is. All right. Whether we want to believe it or not, we can't hide anything about the business with the figures. The figures tell the whole story. The figures are
Money
going
don't
to
care. The
tell
numbers don't care about your
exact,
feelings.
exactly how your business is being managed. All right. So you have to get comfortable facing it, because if you don't, you will be burying your head in sand. You'll be ignoring the obvious, right? You have to get comfortable with it, because it's going to tell a story. And I like how you put it that way. Yeah.
Because it is the story
Yeah.
using the language of numbers. And the funny thing about it is that nobody ever told us that. Nobody ever told us that. Because you must be able to, and maybe it's because of my background in quantitative analysis, you must be able to tell a story using that language. It's like if I was telling a story in Greek or in Spanish or with chalk and talk, it is still a story. You have to tell that story using numbers. And the funny thing is, you are telling the story of your business. So the key points here are you don't need to know everything immediately. And this is where the overwhelm comes about, because we start to feel like, remember the man on Sesame Street with the piano? He used to say, I'll never get it, I'll never get it. And he just throw himself on the keyboard. That's how we start to think. It's okay not to be perfect, because perfection is a myth. Let's just call it what it is. But you'll get better over time. So give yourself time to get better. Outsourcing is, listen, I wish people would understand the value of outsourcing, because it is very easy as solopreneurs, especially solopreneurs. We are very good at many things, but the question begs to be asked, should we be doing everything? Should you? So the things that you are not good at, outsource it, and intentionally outsource it. It is a cost that makes sense. People like to say, well, I don't have the money for that. There is a cost attached to not doing it also. Nobody gets out of jail free. And continuous learning is your superpower, because I always tell people, and you've heard me say it before, if you don't have money, you have time. If you don't have money, you have time. So Rhonda said that she will leave the piece of curtain in the she will leave the two curtains she was working with me. I can't tell you the last time I buy curtains. I don't buy curtains again at all. Curtains, counter panes, all those things. I don't buy those things. I I did food shopping this week and I saw a parcel of raisins, 1.5 pounds, and I talked about it on LinkedIn for $19, which means that I'm not making fruitcake. I'm very sorry. I am not.
Rhonda,
A 5-inch fruitcake is going to cost $300, $400. I don't think I want to spend that kind of money.
Rhonda, if you have the curtains in your budget, it should be okay, you know.
Yeah, but
If
if
you have the curtains in your budget.
but Rhonda is also saying she totally agrees about outsourcing. I had to learn the hard way. Yes, the thing about it is that we are very good at many things, but should we be doing it? You have to understand that. I following Karen Rose on LinkedIn has been, and I wish people would get out of their own way and get out of their own feelings and see what he's trying to tell people, that there are different paths for you to choose. And when I started in 2018, I knew entrepreneurship would have become a thing because the government does not have the financial capacity to be the major employers of people. I come from aviation. In aviation, after fuel is wages and salaries. Those are the two highest costs in aviation. And when the energy industry went sideways, which we knew it was going to happen, there was no alternative, because that was the major income generator that would pay for all the goods and services in the country. And when that went sideways, then a global pandemic, well, that was it. They're not going to be employing people. The number, yeah, exactly. Numbers don't care about your feelings. So let us go to the next slide. And thank you so much for this conversation, Aisha, because these are things I had to learn the hard way. Today we are talking about this statement. So I'm giving you the ground for this.
Okay, so what we're saying here pretty much is that here's what. Instead of saying you're going to keep learning and you're going to keep learning, just take some action. Take some baby steps with the basics that you already mastered, right? Go ahead, create a budget. Go ahead, track your revenue, track your expenses, right? Create a simple cash flow. It doesn't have to be anything over the top. It could be something you're writing down with, pen and paper. It could be something you create on an Excel spreadsheet. And if you're feeling like, here's what, it's still a little too intimidating, go online. They have all sorts of templates that you can find available to use, all right? But you just want to keep it simple. Don't let the fact that you feel that you have to know more stop you from doing anything. You need to take action because, as Rhonda said, we were talking about this word. If you don't use the information you have and you don't apply it to your business in a positive manner, it really is just an expensive hobby. All right?
It's an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
And I made a prediction, and I'll make the prediction here tonight as well for people listening. That two things. One, AI is not the oracle at Delphi. It is not. So those people who feel that AI come to take their jobs, that's not going to happen. So as the first thing, AI is a tool. And in that tool, it affords small, medium, and startup companies to have actionable tools that will help them. Remember when we were growing up, the parlor in the village. Remember your mother used to have a credit line and they would send you with a list. and you go by this, Mr. John or Mr. whoever, and there will be a list of things that you trust in, so that when your father get paid or your grandfather get paid on the fortnight, you would go and clear that. That was a cash flow statement, because the cash flow statement is the story of the movement of your money, the inflows and the outflows, whether it is for a month, a fortnight, 6 months, whatever. And if we break down these things, to the simplest, the lowest common denominator, as small business owners, we are doing this. If you bought, all right, let's say you're making pepper sauce and you buy 10 pounds of pepper, 5 pounds of garlic, 2 gallons of vinegar. That's your outflows, That's where your money went. So how much, when you understand these things, when you break down these things in its simplest language, don't avoid it, make it easy. Even if it goes down to you having a book and you're writing down things with a pencil, just like how, remember in the shop, they used to have a hook. And the bills it would be put into the hook. And when you go into the parlor, you would see these hooks with all these bills inside of it. Of course, the shopkeeper used to inflate it because, I mean, they're giving you products with a timeline, a 30-day timeline or a 60-day timeline to clear them. These are not new things, There is nothing about these things that are new, The problem is we have become so fancy and we've become so sophisticated that we have forgotten that this is where we came from. These are not new things. So as these cash flow statements that people are talking about, because as we both know, there is a difference. Yeah, there's a difference between management accounting, which is really a wish list, and accounting using the 11 concepts of accounting. You see, I did learn the thing to pass the course. I learned it. When I didn't have a choice, I learned it. So what I am saying is, even there, you will be able to say, all right, what can I do now? Remember, I like to tell you, I have done so much with so very little. If I had more, I'd do more. People are always waiting for this money to come out of the sky for them to do this big ticket item. But sometimes you could do small things. So let us look at the key points to keep us on track. So you are saying here to take small, consistent financial steps. It means that in Rhonda's case, she will put down the people curtain, because if you didn't cater for it, Christmas is a day. I don't celebrate Christmas at all, I realize Christmas is a blow mind thing. I don't celebrate Christmas at all. Create a simple budget. If you know, as I have learned, if you know from the time you put beef, pork, and chicken inside of the basket, the grocery bill goes from $600 to $1,600. Put down the thing there. Put it down. We grew up in an environment where we used to eat chicken on a Sunday. How much chicken you eat? Is it on the doctor write a prescription fit? No. Are there alternatives? That's the other thing. When you're creating a simple budget, there are alternatives. In your business, there are alternatives. If you can figure out what you could do now, figure out what you want to do in 6 months, figure out what you want to do in 8 months, and work towards those long-term goals. Rhonda is saying here, and I'm putting it up. She said she did ACCA and I stopped, so I know enough, but I would be able to. Yes, use what you know. There is no such thing. There is no such thing as wasted education. Nothing. Track sales and expenses, even if it means that you have a notebook and a pen and you're writing it down. Review the numbers monthly. It will go right back to what we said before, where you might be doing X, Y, and Z, but only Y bringing in consistent income into the business. But then Lego X, as we say it in the Caribbean, Lego X and Lego Z. and put your money where, how we say it in the Caribbean, play for what you see. It's not that you wouldn't come back to those products, because those products may be very good products. However, you have to determine where you're going to get the best bang for your buck. I tell people that people like to tell you that having passive income, and you could have 5 and 6 and 7 streams of income. Baby cakes, nobody have that amount of bandwidth for all them passive income. Focus on one thing. When you get good at it, when you could do a signature offer at a premium price and people buying it, then as Chloe said, and I listen, when Chloe said it, I literally danced in the living room. When you get good at it, go to another platform and get more clients for that signature offer. So if you stay on LinkedIn and you create a signature offer at a premium price and you're getting people to buy it, then when you go on Instagram or you go on Facebook or you go on TikTok or you go to your YouTube channel, you are simply looking for more clients for that signature offer. You're not creating a new offer. You're looking for more clients for the same offer. You don't recreate, you're not reinventing the wheel. So transform learning into a tangible process. Ask the clients. There are people who don't ask. They don't ask the client. What you sell somebody something, I call it the concept of the single sale. You sell somebody a product or a service, you don't come back around and find out, so what was your experience with this product? Did you enjoy it? Could I have done more? Could I have done less? Was the packaging off? All these things, the more you ask the client will tell you how much. It's like the story of the bears and the porridge. They will tell you whether they want the porridge hot, cold, or just good enough. But if you're not asking, if you're not consciously seeking that feedback, then you're going to have another problem. So let's move on to the next one. And I'm going to throw in this right here. And this is the one that people just forget. I'm giving you this one for you to help them out with this.
All right. So your financial journey is unique. All right. It's not going to be like anyone else's. You have to take what you have learned over the years and apply it to your situation. All right. And based on what has come forth, then you take the steps to make your financial situation better. Because here's what, if you go into this thing thinking, here, I am doing horribly compared to so and so, right? It's not going to help you. You have to put yourself in a position where you are saying, here's what, I know I can do better, right? My journey is unique and I am comfortable with that. I accept what it is, right? And once you can come to that point of having that sense of peace with yourself, you release all the shame, you release all the guilt that you felt regarding your money, because you know, here's what, I am doing the best that I can right now. I want to do better and it's going to happen for me. So you're thinking of things from a very positive perspective, and you're focusing on what you can do. Not what happened in the past, not where you were, but where you're going. And once you keep that kind of focus, I think everything is going to fall into place. All right? What you have to recognize is that entrepreneurship is going to come with lots of ups and downs. You're going to be on top 1 minute, you might be in a valley the next. And you have to accept that this is just part of the process. This is what you signed up for. But know that when things go badly, you have to accept it, you have to expect it, and then put things in place to go through it comfortably, or as comfortably as you possibly can. All right?
One of the things I tell people about social media, especially because social media is the comparison machine, because we are not seeing people's losing years. We are seeing people's winning years, and many times we see curated images that cannot bear close scrutiny. So here's one of the most important things you have to practice on social media. You have to ramp up your scroll game. You
Right,
must be
well,
you
right,
gotta
well.
ramp up your scroll. Yeah, just let us scroll past and realize, you know what, this have the ingredients of my group, and keep it pushing. Aye. Because my point is this: people, the thing about entrepreneurship, it does not spare people. The people who you see shining now, they got a bloody nose, they lose money. When in season 5 of The Professional Troublemaker, when Lovey talked about being 3 months away from bankruptcy, that was such a revelation, because nobody told us post pandemic that it would take 3 years, in some cases 4 years, for us to come back to even a semblance of where we were before the because the last pandemic was in 1819, and there, we were talking about this week, Aisha, there are people who were born and died and never had the experience of a global pandemic, which is an outlier event, and it beat people down to the ground. And nobody told us. They made us feel that the day after the pandemic was declared safe for us to take off our face mask and come out in the world, that things would go right back to how it was before. These are people still, there are businesses still trying to recover from, as we say it in the Caribbean, from the licks that they get from the pandemic. And it has changed how people do business. So,
But Rhonda,
how do you, yeah.
you don't even have to go on social media now. You know how we do in the Caribbean, huh? Everybody feel they know your business better than you. So they walk in the store, they see the store fully stocked, they see you driving a brand new delivery vehicle, but they don't know how you're paying for it. They don't know what is happening behind closed doors. So you cannot look at somebody and think that everything is all rosy. You really don't know what is happening. So you just have to focus on you. Forget about everybody else, right?
And the thing about it is that here is the thing I want people to take away tonight. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Number one, because it takes a lot out of you. The person that you get to know most closely is your own self, and your ability, your appetite for risk. I remember when I decided to get into entrepreneurship. I have a friend who owns a cargo company, and he used to laugh at me and he used to say, Ronnie, you want to do everything by the book? And I went QRC, I like to gamble. I know how to take risk. He said, and your problem is that you do not want to learn how to bungee jump. 6 years later, I have pivoted my company from a brick and mortar to a digital company. Almost by 2025, it will be almost fully digital. And I have had to take a lot of hits, a lot of L's. I lost over $150,000. And when I was going through that piece of dramedy, which I call a perfect storm, I internalized the failure as if it was me, that I failed. And it wasn't I who failed. It is the process did not pan out. And the people who I put faith in, I placed my faith in the wrong place. But it's not it's not an indictment on me. And a lot of the time, as I tell you, people are like animals. When an animal is injured, an animal will go and hide under the bed and hide under the sink and all in the bush. You can't find the animal because the animal is in pain. And we as entrepreneurs, especially female founders, when we are going through this level of psychological pain, and most of the time we do not get the support within our communities, I tell people that your family is not blood. Your family is the people that the circle that you create around you. And you have to learn all these things. Nobody tells you these things. And that's why I subscribe to the villain theory now. Anything somebody say about me now is true. If they say I owe people money, it's true. If they say I just walk the road with my head high, it is true. If they say that they don't see me at all, it is true. And if they say that they don't see me anywhere in a fete, in a party, in a line, it is also true. I have reached a stage in my life where I am very comfortable with whatever version of me that the public wants to. Because the first thing happens, people see you on social media and they make the assumption that you have all the money in the world, you have a business. And they not seeing you 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when they pull in coverlet and with a bag of snores. And you are trying to figure out why I cannot let go of this blasted thing and go and work for people, or why I don't just forget this. And then you keep going. So you're unique. The thing that entrepreneurship will teach you, the greatest lesson that you will learn is about yourself and your ability to rise from the ashes like a phoenix every time. I have a brother who always says that I am one of the most determined people he has ever met. I was 40 years old when I went back to school, 40, 40, with 4 levels. That tells you that I come from strong stuff. But the thing about it is, these are not lessons anybody teaches you. These are the things that you have to learn. So you have to submit yourself to the process. Submit yourself to the process. Think about the end game. Think about the fact that in my case, at this stage in my life, that I am planting a tree in whose shade I will not sit. And I am saying my only regret about entrepreneurship, and I told Diane Wenger that just this week, my only regret about entrepreneurship is that I should have started earlier. I should have left toxic workplaces and give those people the lovely middle finger and go my way. I should have done that because we put ourselves in positions that was not inspiring to us because we were afraid of challenging the status quo. So your unique financial journey. So let us just look at the key points and add it to the stage. Because tonight I really want us to talk about these things. Your journey is yours. Embrace the trial and error. Focus on the personal progress and celebrate your individual milestones. I'd like you to talk a little bit about the individual milestones.
At the end of the day, when you are dealing with your finances, you ultimately have to have some sort of financial goal that you're trying to attain. You got into business for a reason, right? And whatever that is what is going to keep you going at the end of the day. With all the trial and error that is surrounding you, that vision, that goal is going to keep pushing you. And having said that, once you have a goal, you're going to have steps or milestones that you're going to have to cross to be able to get to that end that you're going after. So what you need to do is focus on that progress. Every time you hit one of those milestones, you need to start embracing your power, your successes, congratulating and celebrating yourself. Because here's what, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Everybody would do it.
But it's not easy. And you have to recognize that you are taking on this risk. You have to recognize that you are going against the grain and that you are making progress. And that is why we always have to celebrate whatever it is we achieve. And once we do that,
because sometimes the milestone is just that, listen, just surviving 2024 is a milestone in itself.
Correct.
The issue that I see with a lot of women, and today I was listening to another woman who did a live on LinkedIn about boundaries. And I have become so open with every part of my life because the woman I was at 18 is not the woman that I was at 30. And the woman that I was at 30 is not the woman that I was at 40. And the woman that I was at 40 is not the woman that I am at 50. And now at 60, I am none of those women. So it is a journey. And part of that journey is the journey of entrepreneurship that I took upon myself. I decided that I had enough talents, as we call it in course development, in research. I had sufficient abilities, skills, and talents that I wanted to make a difference, not only in my life, but in the lives of other people. And that's it. So we keep holding. The thing that I always want to ask a lot of women, how much of the things that you really have that you value, those things really don't have any value. I was the person who used to spend $3,000-4,000 a month on clothes. Ask me if I was the person who had a wardrobe full of clothes with the tags still on it. I think I told you this week, I have upstairs in my townhouse, I have all kind of expensive shoes that dry rot now and it's just to throw away. How much of those things that I bought did I actually need? What were those purchases motivated by wants or needs? We have to start to ask ourselves that this precious piece of time that God has given us, how are we spending it? How are we spending this time? Because time is a thing you cannot get back. This is the one thing that you could lose money and get it back. You could lose your home and get it back. Health and time are the two things that are non-negotiable. When your health starts to go downhill, that's it. When you run out of time, nobody ever lies on their deathbeds and says, I should have bought more shoes. Nobody says that. Nobody says that. I really wanted a Birkin bag. Nobody says those things. So I am saying, if you have consciously chosen entrepreneurship, you have consciously made that choice. What we are saying in this season is that you need to acquire those skills, those survival skills. And one of the biggest parts of becoming better at honing this skill of being an entrepreneur, especially a female entrepreneur, is getting good with money, because money is the one thing that nobody teaches us about. And it is the one thing that we have a very shaky and shady relationship. I have had experiences where I have spoken about this same topic on many forums, and women don't want to talk about it at all. I remember a woman saying to me she preferred to strip herself naked than to show somebody her bank statement. So that shows you the level of shame that this thing is tied up in. And it is the most empowering thing for us to do. This is the last gate that we need to get. We have to get good with money, because we are becoming the men that they wanted us to marry. We are becoming those ones, and we should be thinking about creating generational wealth. And if we do not, in order to do it, this is not hard enough. This is starting where you are, using what you have, and moving forward. And we're living in the information age, so there's no way around it. So let us go to the last slide. I had to take out some of these slides, so I'm going in here and I'm going to get it right here. So I'm going to add it to this stage. And this is what is important. So talk about it.
I think this is so powerful, community. And this is something that on a personal level, I am very much an advocate for community when it comes to finances. And I'll tell you why. Because we don't talk about money often enough. Those feelings of shame, those feelings of guilt, they hold us back. And when we are suffering, we suffer alone. All right. And when we're alone, that is when our mind really plays those tricks on us. All right. If we don't have someone to talk about these issues in a safe, space,
non-judgmental.
yes, with empathy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we're going to find solutions to our problems. So I am fully for talking more about money and removing all that taboo that tends to surround it. All right. And as women, sometimes we look at one another and there may be envy, there may be all sorts of other feelings when we should really be focusing on how we're going to pull each other up, how we're going to help one another. All right. Because once women are in a position where they can use money as a tool that is supposed to be, I think everybody benefits. Our communities, our children, it's going to have that ripple effect, and it's magical. And I want us to be on the forefront of making that happen. So clearly, when we're doing this thing called entrepreneurship, we have to have a team around us, a support network that is going to help us as we make our way. All right. It's a team sport, even when you're solo. Right. We all need somebody.
And the thing about it, the thing that you said that is so pertinent to this conversation tonight is that when you said that we need a safe, non-judgmental space to talk about these things when we are going through them. Those who are some of the people who are online tonight for this live, they know that I am always a phone call away, that you could talk to me. Because I remember growing up not having that community. And when becoming a training officer in Piarco is what helped me to become very empathetic to people. Because I had an open door policy towards the people that I supervised. And Aisha, 3 o'clock in the morning, you will hear some of the saddest stories from human beings. My office door never used to be closed. It used to be open. There are people in Piarco who say that I'm a legend in Piarco. The reason why, when sometimes you have nobody to talk to. So I would be doing paperwork 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and somebody would knock my door. I could talk to you for a minute and people would come and tell me, men and women, people would come and tell me their problems, their struggles, the things that they're struggling with, just because they need a safe, non-judgmental space where they're not looking for a solution, They're looking for a place where they could vent to somebody so that they will feel like if they are being seen, they are being heard, and they are being respected. And this is what I have been able in my time, and this is what convinced me that I have the ability to speak life into other people. This is a gift, and that gift came out of those people who allowed me the privilege to serve them. Because in serving them, they taught me how to become more empathetic.
Yeah.
When you do good in the world, when you build a community, it means that in that community, the community is like a bell curve. On both ends of the bell curve, you have the very bright and you have the not so bright, and then the rest of us are the majority of the population in this bell curve. But when people feel that there's nowhere that they can be heard because they don't know who to trust, they're not looking for answers, they're looking for somewhere where they can be heard. When I used to run business mixers, it was the same thing. I would bring established business owners and startup companies together, and I would just leave them, let them talk to one another, let them have a drink together, eat together, dress nice. And in those kinds of environment wasn't networking, wasn't your business card or whatever. It was building relationships so that they would be able to talk to one another. And somebody would say, I'm struggling with this. And because for somebody's pebble, and I always say this, somebody's pebble is somebody else's mountain. When you're going through it, you feel it's a mountain. And if you don't have anybody to talk to, and somebody who went through it already and through it climb an even higher mountain, they say, girl, don't worry yourself with that. This is what you need to do. And this is what I did, and this is what worked for me. Because entrepreneurship is trial and error. But it comes back down to a question of especially money. We have to be intentional going into 2025 about the conversations around money, because as we said at the beginning, whatever happened, no matter how sad it was, no matter how bad it was, no matter how many people break your heart, you put your faith in people, they turn their back on you. We've all lived through that. I tell people in women's lives are pretty much the same. Somebody's going to cheat on you, somebody's going to take advantage of you, somebody's going to make you cry, you're going to make your own self cry, you're going to rise up from the worst of experiences. Women are extremely resilient and women are really powerful. And this is like the last bastion of where our power has been taken away from us, because we've been left to become consumers and not generators of wealth. We have been conditioned to become consumers. So we have been taught that in order for you to be acceptable, you need another lipstick, and you need another bottle of perfume, and you need to have waistline braids. All these things are wonderful, When I was in university, I used to play mass. That was my only way of getting away from the books. But it was either play mass or go to FET, one of the two. But for most of the year, all I am doing is going to school and going to work. So if you want to do those things, there is balance. When they talk about the soft life and they talk about self-care and all of things, there needs to be balance. And as women, not only as female entrepreneurs, there is an imbalance. And it is inside of that imbalance, that's the place where women are suffering. You don't even have to be an entrepreneur to know, because the story is the same. So when you cannot speak the language, then you cannot improve your life. Know how. So my point is this, and this is what I want to leave with people, and I'll go to the final, the key point here, and then we talk a little bit about the academy that is coming up. So I'm going to add it in. So this is what we've been talking about tonight. Getting comfortable discussing finances. You and I have, how many times we had these financial conversations, Aisha? Over the last year.
Yeah.
We have had these conversations. I remember when we sat down and we chatted how easy it is for Nail Tech to make $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when we had applied to do a women's entrepreneurial course in this country? They throw me out.
Oh gosh.
They throw two of us out. They tell us we cannot qualify. They tell us we cannot qualify for and that was the same time that I was selected for the Bank of America course in New York, and the local banking establishment said that both you and I, we're not good enough for the people thing. So getting comfortable discussing finances, there's no way about it. Seeking mentors and networks. Listen, I've written about mentorship. Nobody's obligated to become your mentor. You have to find alignment. What it is that you don't know, And who do you need to help you with that? And then you have to literally pull your tail between your leg and go to the person and ask them kindly, nicely, you could help me because I might not have any money. And the person could tell you no. So why you feel that somebody's supposed to be a mentor for free? No. So seek networks, and in networking, be very intentional, because some of these, and I'll say it very openly. Remember, I tell you the name of my upcoming podcast. Um, some of these networks are mean girl clubs. They're not interested in helping nobody. So don't go anywhere where, as the old people used to say, when you go by people and they take the broom and they turn it upside down, that means that them people don't want you there. Don't go there at all. As we say in the Caribbean, when you are a cockroach, you have no business in foul dance. That's just how it is. Some of these women are mean girls. I am a female founder. I serve the female founder community. My passion is in female founders and women startup companies, and I want them to build, scale, and grow successful companies and build generational wealth. But I'm well aware that there are mean girls out there. I am well aware. Join communities of women entrepreneurs. Get in where you fit in with women who want to help each other, because the fight is not against each other. The fight is against poverty. And not, when I say poverty, not just being poor, the poverty of missed opportunity. So I've given you the last point about asking for help. Talk to them.
Yeah, don't, as we say in local parlance, feel a how, humble yourself, and find the right person who's going to point you in the right direction. At the end of the day, when you don't know what you don't know, you have to figure out how to know what you need to know. And the only way you can do that is by asking the right questions and by seeking the right people. And when you do that, it's actually more of a strength on your part as opposed to weakness, because you are doing something that not many people are willing to do. Many people let ego and everything else get in their way. When you want to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve, you can't let anything stop you. You have to do what you need to do. And if that means asking for help, do it. And that's as simple as I can put it. You need to get out of your own way. Right? And
so as we coming down to the close, I'll just make a shameless plug for you and for the upcoming academy. Where is Aisha positioning herself in 2025? Because I'll tell you something, having a friend who good with numbers is a benefit to me. Having a friend who is a financial advisor benefits me. I feel more women should be your friend. So where is Aisha in 2025?
In terms of the business, what I'm looking at is doing some one-to-one consulting. I'm staying far from calling myself a coach, but I am working on getting one-to-one sessions, which I'm calling cash clarity sessions, going, where you will sit down with me and we work on a roadmap to get you to where you want to be in terms of your financial goals. And if you're unclear in terms of the steps you need to take, we're going to sit down and work through it. I'm also looking at some group programs, one of them being a financial planning bootcamp. I am a very strong advocate for having a plan where your finances are concerned, and many of us go through life where we don't even, know what we're doing the very next day. So if we can't master that, how are we going to take care of ourselves when we, have to retire, when we have to plan for our kids' education and so on. All right. So I'm looking at a financial planning bootcamp, and I'm also very passionate about women who are overcoming setbacks and financial challenges. So I'm also putting together a financial recovery program, which will work on mindset, which will look at resilience and the steps that you need to take to get yourself back on track. And lastly, I'm also a children's author. So I'm hoping to put together some financial programs for kids as well. And that's my
Tell me a little
2025.
bit. All right, well, tell me a little bit about the financial recovery because that's the one that I'll tell you why the financial recovery to me it really stood out because when, as I told you, when I go to these webinars, especially these virtual webinars, I am like a snoop inside of the comments because isn't the meat of the conversations is the inside the comments. And what I saw just this week for Global Entrepreneurship Week, I saw a lot of women who are dealing with bad credit. People
Yeah.
who lost their businesses or lost because of their credit history, and they're trying to find a way to recover from the financial setbacks, whether it was divorce, separation, having to shut down their business during the pandemic, whatever other setbacks. We talked about the sandwich generation of women who are caught between taking care of their children and taking care of their parents at the same time and still having to try to run a business or run a life. So tell me a little bit about the financial recovery because I think that's a really, really good one because that speaks not only to strategy, it speaks to mindset as well. So tell me a little bit about that one and where we will see this in 2025.
Well, it's certainly in the planning stages, but having come from a background of financial services and seeing people get caught in the cycle of debt, having been in that environment as well too, where we are just living day to day and we're living through off of credit and seeing things fall apart with COVID, people losing their jobs and so on, I recognize that there are a lot of people out there who are still, as you would have mentioned during the course of the session, that are still trying to get back into the swing of things. And the thing about it is when you're facing those kinds of financial challenges, your mindset is the probably could be the biggest hurdle that you would face, right? And you have to get yourself back into winning mode. And the only way you can get back into winning mode is trying to figure out what is holding you back and making sure that you put yourself in a position and you surround yourself with people who can help pull you up and give you the encouragement and show you the way to make things right. Because what it comes down to is really just having a plan. All right? Figuring out, okay, where are the gaps? Is it that I was lacking an emergency fund? Is it that I need to get a side hustle? Is it that I've been stuck? One of the issues that I've been dealing with for some time now is that I'm also doing caregiving. How does that affect women, as a matter of fact? Because in many instances, women are the ones who forego their careers to deal with not only their children but their aging parents. So
Exactly.
we have to find all sorts of strategies now to figure out how we are going to get things back on track. And very often it's also just tackling debt. All right, because debt isn't disappearing. We may not have the money that we want to have coming in, but that isn't going anywhere. So we also have to
Yeah,
have the plan.
the debt is coming. The debt is coming.
Yeah,
The financiers are calling you as if you
yeah,
have money somewhere. And there are people who have said to me that they actually are very afraid to even answer the phone. It has reached that
yeah,
stage. And we do
yeah.
not want, we know that nobody, very few people, I shouldn't say nobody, very few people are comfortable owing people. Very
Tell me
few
about
people.
it.
Less
Tell
less
me
than
about it.
less than 5% of the world population are comfortable owing people. And the thing about it is that people want a way out. People are looking for a way out. So how can people get in touch with you? And then I'll just do a plug for the Her Startup Collective because this is where I pivoted my entire business, cut it down the middle, archived the whole set of stuff, and this is where I'm positioning myself for 2025. So if somebody wants to do a one-on-one coaching, or they want to come and cry on your shoulder for a fee, for a fee.
Right. So I'm on LinkedIn, so you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, Instagram as well. However, if you want to schedule like a connection call, or you want to sign up for one of my strategy sessions, you can send me an email at connectthe.tt@gmail.com. Right?
All
But
right.
send me a DM. I'm fine with that as well.
All right. So before we close off tonight, I really like people. I really do like Aisha. Aisha and we have some of the best conversations. We talk about these things because the thing about it is that we're not just talking this thing. We have walked this thing. We have lived this thing. Yes, that's it. Connect the dots, TT at Gmail. This is it. We put it up. This is it here.
Yes, that's right.
Right. Makesha already gave you the plug. So in 2018, just like a lot of people, I was offering a lot of services. My background is in training. You know, I must find one of my uniform pictures and put it up on LinkedIn and do a post around it, because people like to remember you how you were, and there's always a cognitive dissonance when they see who you have become. Some people just can't make the connection. I must look for one of them old pictures with me in uniform. Anyway, my story is that when I started in 2018, I was offering a lot more services. And post pandemic, I shut down my brick and mortar and I went digital. Now, I went digital for two reasons. One, because I was literally paying the rent for a space that I wanted to buy. And for a lot of reasons, it went sideways. And I also realized that I was doing more work at home and less work in my office. So when I moved house to my townhouse, I simply went digital as well, and that has been my story. But part of it is that, just like what we was talking about what is the impact that you want to make, I took that decision. I did that thing. I did the survey, the research, the market research, talked to people, read stuff, sit down in webinars, paid coaches. And what I did, I took the business and I sliced it down the middle. So on the one hand, we will have tiered coaching. We're in the process of rebuilding the website. It should be ready in a couple, next 2 weeks or whatever the case might be, because my web designer is in New York. And the thing that I'm most passionate about is the Her Startup Collective. This is exactly what you have been talking about. And this is where we empower women at wherever the stage of the journey that they are to become where they need to go. So some of the things that we're going to be offering here in this Her Startup Collective, and let me see if I can find the slide really quick. And this is some of the things that we offer in this particular Her Startup Collective. We'll be doing these things: business strategy and planning toolkit. We'll be doing mentorship and coaching network. We're going to be doing funding and grant alert systems. Because as Aisha would tell you, and as I have come to realize, the same thing that the people in Trinidad tell me I can't go to, and the people in America offer me the spot. There's a lot more creative money outside there. But if you do not know your numbers, then you will not know how to pitch, and you will not know what is available. Just this week, I was listening to a webinar on one of the people who are in the business of grants, and somebody who works with Hello Alice, and they were talking about the grant system. And this is the important thing. So there will be exclusive expert-led workshops and webinars. And one of the people who will be delivering those webinars will be Aisha. Because what we are doing, we are partnering with people within the community who will be part of the collective as well. So it just wouldn't just be me talking. This is a collective. The collective means as a community, it's all of us coming together at whatever stage we are to help each other. Now, this is a subscription model. So you get in at the lowest level to the highest level. And you can grow as your business improves. You will go to another level, and then you'll go to another level, and then you'll go to another level. So this is how we are building this. The same thing with my one-on-one coaching. My one-on-one coaching will be broken down into different coaching clients. So my highest coaching clients will be my $5,000 and $10,000 clients. So those will be my highest and above. But then there will be spaces for other people who will be offered certain levels of coaching. You get what you paid for. So this is what we are doing. So the Her Startup Collective is me, Zoma, me, Rhonda, as a business strategist, taking my own business and splitting it down the middle and breaking it into two different arms of the same company. Now, to me, that allows people, I am now giving the power of choice. Just like when you go by KFC and when you go by Royal, when you go to any of these fast food places, they give you a menu and you get to choose out of the menu what you want. And it's the same subscription. I literally base the model on that. So you can take a basic package and you have add-ons. So it means that you are able to get in where you fit in. So this is where we are headed in 2025. All of it will be about money. All of it will be about building excellence in your processes. All of it will be having an idea of where you want to go and breaking that guidance into tasks and subtasks. And that's it. That's it. That is where I am headed. It is a subscription model. It will not be I'm not hourly rating prices again. That ship has sailed. Nobody is hourly rating anything anymore. There will be packages where you are entitled to a certain amount. When the website is completed and we're ready to launch it, we will come back to a live and another webinar, because I did the webinar twice already, and we'll go into detail as to where we are headed. But this works for me better because I am able to run a almost 100% digital company with clients outside of Trinidad on a global scale, because these are the four things that I'm offering. So one-on-one coaching will be one product, and these are the four products of the Her Startup Collective. It is easier. These are the things that we have looked at it and we have said that this is where we're going. So this is what I am doing for 2025. So literally all we're waiting on is for the website to finish and we off and running. This is where we are. So this is my story. This is why I literally pivoted the company. I no regrets about pivoting it, because I really like the idea of often having two arms of the company, with one product on this side as a premium product and one product on this side as a 4-tiered product. So you have four products on this side. You could choose. You could choose either a 2-piece, a 3-piece, fries, a piece of corn, a potato salad. Literally, that's what I did with it. So I archived a lot of the other products that we were offering before, like the business planning and the frontline coaching and all of that. I subsume those things. Those things will be customized add-ons if a one-on-one coaching client, based on the diagnostic, that client needs that particular problem to be solved in order for them to build and scale, then they will get that as an add-on. And I being honest with you, Aisha, I really like that. It works. To me, it works better. I also will be able to give myself the opportunity to look to see what is the impact on each side of the arm so that, and that also comes out of the aviation model. In let me use a good example. Virgin Airlines. Aviation teaches you everything. What they did with the model is that you have Virgin America, Virgin Africa, Virgin New York, Virgin whatever. So if you have an arm of a company that is not profitable, you could just take it off the arm. You could just discontinue the arm and it doesn't interfere with the core competencies of the business. I tell people aviation has taught me everything that I know about business. The processes, as my boss used to say, processes change, principles don't. And this is what I did. I just break the whole thing in half and that's it. That's it. So thank you again tonight. I look forward to everything that is happening with you. You know, it's only money conversation. We just have all kind of conversation, but really money conversations. I want to see, my greatest wish for 2025 is that I want to see more women do video content.
Yeah.
Because
You're always
women
telling
have,
me that. Yeah.
yeah, I need to see more women do video content. It is important that we get out there because we have important stories to share. And LinkedIn is now is now rewarding creators who are creating video content. So I am a full service operation. You want written content, you're getting that from me. You want a newsletter, you're getting that from me. You want video content, these days all I do is repurposing content. I haven't done new content for the longest while. What we do here tonight, I will literally take this and cut this up into pieces, and I do my own video editing, and I will take this and create reels, create 1 minute stories on my YouTube channel, wherever, because video content can always be used or reused. It has an evergreen lifestyle to it. So
Yeah.
thank you so much again. I really, really appreciated this. And for those of you who want to reach out to my friend Aisha, you know where to find her. Connect the dots TT, LinkedIn, and Instagram. But LinkedIn is where everybody hanging out now. We get touch with ourselves. LinkedIn is where we're going. LinkedIn is where we have found. I personally was not a fan of LinkedIn until I realized that LinkedIn is the best place for me. So having said that, thank you so much. Those of you who will see it on the replay, please, please put replay in the comments so that we will know that you did in fact look at it. If you have any questions for me at all, I am on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn as a place you're sure to find me. I can also be found here. I am on Instagram, although I'm not really a happy Instagram person. I have a YouTube channel. I am on TikTok, and I am also on LinkedIn. And you could DM me, or you could reach out to me at info@rondaglynn.com. When my website comes back live, it will be www.rondaglynn.com. Easy peasy. So have a good evening, everybody, and let's talk soon,
Bye.
soon, soon. Bye.